We're doing it all today. Everything from scratch, including making a dough. However, if you're short on time or just not in the mood, a store-bought crust works perfectly. No shame in shortcuts. Hi, and welcome to Occasional Fish. Let's get to baking. Add 300 grams or 2.5 cups of flour into a medium-sized bowl. Cut 140 grams or 10 tablespoons of unsalted butter into cubes. Add the cubes into the flour and using 2 knives or a pastry cutter, cut in the butter into the flour. If you have a trivet or pot holder, set it underneath the bowl because it helps from sliding around everywhere while you work. Keep working the butter into the flour until the mixture is nice and crumbly. And now the worst part for me. I'm terrible at cracking eggs, and I'm also averse to having slimy things on my hands. Since I lack the skill to shuffle the yolk between the shells, I just lay the egg in the palm of my hand and let the whites seep through my fingers. If you're more talented than me or you hate this feeling, separate the yolk however you like. Pour the yolk into the flour and butter. Save the egg white for later. I like to store mine in a container in the fridge. Drizzle in 5 to 6 tablespoons of cold water. Mix using a fork and eventually your hands until the dough comes together. Once it forms a ball, plop it onto a sheet of plastic wrap. I find it easiest to cut the wrap after the dough is sitting in the middle, but your scissors will get a little dirty from your hands. Wrap the dough tightly and stick it in the fridge for at least an hour. Now it's time to get rolling. Grab a smooth cutting board or use a clean counter and sprinkle on a little flour. I like to rub some on the rolling pin too. Grab your chilled dough and roll it out until it's large enough to fit a 9x9 baking dish, and preferably about 1/4 of an inch or 5 millimeters in thickness. Can you tell I'm not an expert with a rolling pin? If your board tries to run away from you just like mine is, just reel it back in. This is probably why people use countertops, but something about rolling dough directly on my counter just doesn't really sit right with me. I feel like I can never get it clean enough. Do you use your counter for rolling dough? Let me know in the comments. I'm genuinely interested. Transfer the dough to the baking pan. Use your thumb to press it into the edges, and use your pointer finger and thumb to pinch the rim so it looks nice and neat. Now it's time to blind bake. You can use pie weights or dry beans, but I like to use sugar. And the best part is that you can reuse the toasted sugar for later. Line the crust with aluminum foil, making sure the edges are covered. It doesn't need to be perfect, just do your best. Pour in your sugar or pie weights and bake at 180 degrees Celsius or 350 degrees Fahrenheit for about 1 hour. Let's not talk about how tired my baking tray looks. It's been through a lot. Let the crust cool a bit before removing the foil. Pour your toasted sugar into a container for another recipe or remove your pie weights. Alright, now it's time to cook that bacon. I like using a high-sided pot. A soup pot usually works great. If you have non-stick, that's even better. I'm using stainless steel here, so you'll definitely see all the little bits on the bottom. Cook the bacon until it's crisp to your liking. I go for about 10 to 12 minutes because I like mine extra crispy, but make sure to stir occasionally so it doesn't stick to the bottom. Remove the bacon and place it on a paper towel lined plate. Using the leftover bacon grease, cook your chopped leeks until they're soft and lightly browned, about 6 to 8 minutes. Season with salt and pepper. In a bowl, crack in 1 egg. Add the egg white from earlier and 200 milliliters of cream or milk. Stir these all up together until combined. Crumble the bacon directly into the bowl. I just tear it with my hands because it's easier, but you can always chop it on a cutting board if you prefer. And finally, add the cooked leeks. Now would be the time that I would have said, let's cheese it up, and added the cheese into the bowl, but I forgot and added it after the filling was already in the crust. It did still work, but to avoid my chaos, add 60 grams or a half cup of shredded cheese now to the bowl, any kind that you like. Mix everything together until combined. Pour the filling into your blind baked crust. If you forgot the cheese like I did, sprinkle it on top and pretend it was intentional. Bake at 180 degrees Celsius or 350 degrees Fahrenheit for 20 to 30 minutes, or until the center is set and the top is lightly golden. Now you have a creamy, rich tart that you can share with your family or eat all by yourself. And honestly, once you take a bite, you'll understand the temptation. I hope you enjoyed today's recipe. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment down below. Is there a better combo than bacon and leek? Until next time, keep it simple, keep it flaky.